Guest would be my good buddy, Dr. Peter McCullough, one of the, if not the greatest COVID vaccine experts and cardiologists in all the world. And my column that I read to you was RFK Jr. could be the boldest and most important cabinet secretary of our lifetime. But when will he expose the most important and deadly scandal in history? And I wrote that, look, he says all these great things, but he's got to cancel the COVID vaccine. It is deadly. We got the perfect guest to talk about it, Dr. Peter McCullough, world-renowned physician and scientist, cardiologist, expert on the safety and efficacy of the COVID vaccine, president of the McCullough Foundation. You can find it on the internet at McCulloughFND.org, McCulloughFND.org. Dr. Peter McCullough, welcome to the Wayne Root Show. How are you?
Great to be back, Wayne.
Great to have you back. You've been on many times, and we enjoy having you on every time because I believe in truth, and people need to hear the truth. What do you think about my commentary that RFK Jr. has said such wonderful things, a breath of fresh air? He could be the most consequential HHS secretary in history, one of the best cabinet secretaries in general in history, and yet he has not yet tackled the COVID vaccine. He's mentioned the COVID vaccine for the childhood schedule. Maybe he might take it off, but he's never said the COVID vaccine is killing people and we've got to terminate the COVID vaccine program. Do you think we're ever going to get to that point? Why do you think he hasn't said that yet?
I'm starting to understand the methods to his madness. And his approach is basically, as a lawyer, to lay out the fact pattern, to not tell us the conclusion, but lead the populace to arriving at a conclusion. And that's exactly what's going on. He's tackling the low-hanging fruit in terms of food dyes, cleaning up the water supply, food supply.
Fluoride, fluoride.
Yeah, the autism epidemic, which is huge.
Yes.
We heard nothing about that through the Biden administration at all. And of course, we have COVID-19, the pandemic, the vaccines, gain-of-function research, banned yesterday. So you can see incremental progress, but we still don't have a single major medical center, Wayne, or chief of medicine that's come out and expressed any concern over the vaccines.
Right, but I think RFK Jr., as you say, it's kind of clear what he's doing. He's being very careful because he doesn't want people to scream radical, crazy. But little by little, he's dismantling this medical industry, medical industrial complex. Little by little, slowly. He's like, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. And he's going slowly. So I think he's going to get to the vaccines. But the question is, how many people are going to die or be disabled during the time that he waits? There's a lot of people dying out there. You believe that the VAERS data, as I believe, indicates that over 500,000 Americans were killed by the COVID-19 vaccines. And I think that number is very conservative. I think it's close to 1 million. But the point is, we stopped the swine flu vaccine, Dr. Peter McCullough, when 30 Americans died. Can you imagine if there's 500,000 or more dead and nobody stopped this vaccine? How crazy is that?
The CDC has confirmed about 19,400 deaths. That was the death certificates, the vignettes. There's hundreds of papers written on them. I've taken samples from the VAERS database and examined them, and clearly the vaccine is the cause of death. About 3 pages of the entry form are the doctor. Who's the doctor making the entry? So believe me, any false reporting is punishable by federal fines or imprisonment. Whatever's in VAERS is legit. That's 19,400 or so. The underreporting factor in FDA testimony is 30. So 30 times 19,400, we are approaching 600,000 by that conservative estimate. And that's nearly Civil War casualties, Wayne.
Right. And by the way, the number I've always seen was, I think it was Harvard did a study and only 1% of all deaths by vaccine are ever reported to VAERS. So if 1% is the correct figure, you have to multiply by 100, multiply 20,000 or so by 100. And I believe, if my math is right, you'd get 2 million dead Americans. So it's somewhere between 500,000 and 2 million. Where the truth is, who knows? But that's a lot of dead people. And like you said, 500,000, even if it's on the conservative side, that's the death total of the Civil War, the worst in our history. How could, doctor first do no harm. How could we allow this harm to be happening?
And it's carefully concealed in the biology of the vaccines. The leading cause of death before the pandemic was cardiovascular disease. Well, the vaccines contribute and accelerate cardiovascular disease. Cancer, another major leading cause of death. Well, the vaccines may accelerate cancer, so-called turbo cancer, and then death due to other causes, blood clots, etc. So it's going to be concealed in the statistics. I can tell you, 2021, Wayne, was a very bad year for mortality. That's when most people took the shots. COVID had already mutated to a milder strain.
So why are the vaccines still on the market? I mean, my answer is, again, I'm being nice. I don't want to say that there's depopulation and these are evil people. They're Dr. Evil. They want to kill people. I'm trying to be nice. I think it's just about money. I think the media made money on all the advertising. I think the doctors made money, bonuses for every shot they gave. I think that a lot of people had stock in Moderna and Pfizer and made a fortune in the stock. I think it's just been about money. Am I wrong? Am I being too nice?
Well, fear initially, a lot of money. And I think people developed a religious belief about these vaccines, that they were going to be saved by the vaccines. I had a patient today, Wayne, he took 8 shots. And he was thinking about taking a 9th. Yeah. So, Wayne, I can tell you, we are deep into this. This is the biggest biological safety catastrophe in the history of mankind. It's worldwide.
Right.
I think what needs to happen is we need to have a Bethesda meeting. Call all the chiefs of medicine at the 300 medical schools into a room. Let's review the data together, and let's have a strong voice quickly call for withdrawal of these vaccines from the market. Trump is not a doctor. RFK is not a doctor. They need to bring the doctors in. I'm happy to help. And let's show the data and make decisions.
Well, here's the problem. Listen, you're a brilliant doctor and you're an honest doctor and you've been there from the beginning. And I know you were the head of the whole Baylor health system and they fired you because you told the truth, right? I'm not off on that, right? You were fired as the head of the Baylor health system because you said the vaccines don't work. Am I correct? Let's start with that.
Well, I wasn't head of the system, but I was highly ranked, and I've taken on other duties. I'm the chief scientific officer of the wellness company. Unlike academic medical centers, we are bringing solutions to America. But I think today's a new day, Wayne. Just like with cigarette smoking, the academic medical centers, denied it for decades that smoking caused lung cancer. Luther Terry, who was the Surgeon General in 1964, called all the doctors in and said, listen, guys, I got bad news for you. Smoking causes lung cancer.
Yeah, well, I was just going to point out, look, you're an honest doctor. I don't know if you could bring all these doctors and scientists and heads of medical schools together and get the truth out of them, because these are the people that have remained silent this entire time. So I'm not hopeful that they would suddenly go along with you, Peter, and say, yes, the vaccine's killing people. I mean, how about just suspend the program until we study whether these studies are right and whether the health efficacy is there? How about just a simple step like that? Take it off the childhood schedule and then suspend it, and then let's see what the studies show when we tell the truth. How about something like that? It's pretty moderate, right?
Right, Wayne, that may happen. Actually, I thought that's a very positive suggestion. Even FDA new Commissioner Macri, who previously supported the vaccines, said we don't have enough data. So if you don't have enough data, what should you do? You should pause the program. We're way too far into this. The vaccine should have been pulled off the market under the first Trump administration. They should have. There was enough excess deaths clearly through the Biden administration. Now we're back to Trump. And as you pointed out, frustratingly, they are still not pulled off the market.
Well, the one good thing I say is at least Trump, the only thing we've ever disagreed on is this vaccine, but at least he never mandated it for anyone. No one had to take it. So I give Trump credit for that. And now he's letting military members come back and get back pay. He's a good man. He's right about 99%. You and I both agree he's wrong about the vaccine, but at least he's much better than the Democrats, I'll tell you that much. Dr. Peter McCullough, he's the president of the McCullough Foundation. His website is McCulloughFND.org. McCulloughFND.org. World-renowned physician and scientist and expert on this deadly COVID vaccine. Thanks for all you do and all your boldness, doctor. You're the best.
Thanks.